All right, here we go, guys. We are live. Hopefully, we are warming up live right now. Yes, do you guys see me? You guys coming in? We had a little bit of technical difficulties getting started, but we're on right now. Having two different channels on YouTube. They sometimes get crossed and meshed, but here we are, the Royal We live. Thank you so much for being here. Taylor, what's going on, girl? Thank you so much for being here. You're the first one on board. Taylor is a moderator. I hope you're doing great, Taylor. How are you? Hello, hello. How's everybody from the Facebook group doing? I'm so glad you're here. Hi, Glenda Fry. How are you? Wonderfully made. How are you, Tanya? How are you doing? Karina, Laura, hi. It's good to see all of you guys. Regina Owen, Wendy. How are you doing, Wendy G? Wendy, are you the Wendy from Missouri? I'm curious to know. I'm not sure. Every now, yeah. Good. Good, Taylor. I'm so glad to hear you say that. That is so great. And Taylor, I'm glad that you are here because you make the Royal We so much better. So it's good to see you guys here. I'm so happy that you're here. We'll wait a couple of minutes for a few more people to jump on, and then we'll get started. And I do already have a telephone call from Michigan, and I'm going to go ahead and ask this caller if you would go ahead and kindly wait just a moment. Can you wait, or would you like to talk now? Hello?
Yes, I'm just trying to call in because I'm unable to connect through the live.
Oh, you are? Well, I'll tell you what, we're still waiting for some people to join in. But since you're here and you don't know how to connect in, we'll go ahead and take your call. Thank you for calling on the Royal We. And are you having a hard time logging in live?
Well, my name is Shantae.
Okay.
You sent me the link.
Yes.
However, you have to wait 24 hours before you can actually see it. So I'm not able to see it. So I did see the number here. So I called. I'm not sure why I'm calling. I just thought it was a way to connect.
Well, it is a way to connect, and this is the Royal We Live. I'm not sure why it would make you wait 24 hours to connect. You do have a YouTube account, right? You watch YouTube videos. Is that how you found me?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just another YouTube channel. That's all it is. So the link I gave you was to a different YouTube channel. It's the Royal We live stream channel, and
when I go live, it says ready in 24 hours. It said it takes 24 hours to activate your account for live streaming. Once activated, you can go live instantly.
That's for you to go live, hon. That's for you to that's for you to go live. But now if you go to the channel that I gave you, you click on that channel. Now you got it. Yeah, are you hearing me?
Well,
I hear it in the background.
That was a old.
Well.
Okay. When I click on it, it just watch. So I'm clicking on the link.
There you go. And there you go. And you should be able to see me pop up, and so you're on. Well, you when you texted when
there you go.
And there you go. Yeah.
You should be able to I got it.
That guy sounds familiar.
Oh, yes, that's you.
Can you go ahead and turn it down? Turn the volume down now.
I got it. That guy sounds it's a delay. Okay, turn it down.
Right.
You want me to keep it down?
Yes.
Okay, it's
there
down.
You go. So now it's just us chatting. So thank you for being the first caller on tonight's live stream. What's going on? I know you watched the videos. You reached out. What are some of the things that you are dealing with or have questions about as far as your issue with the narcissistic abuse?
Well, I've been studying it for probably about a year now.
Mm-hmm.
After going through what I call an annulment after being married to a narcissist who all of a sudden just filed for a divorce, and I had no idea of what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I began to kind of study this, and I realized I said he may be a narcissist, and I began to look it up, but I still struggle with, I know that it's an unhealthy relationship, but some of the things that people talk about as far as being a narcissist, as far as him being violent and things like that. He's not necessarily that way. So I kind of struggle with, is this really narcissistic abuse?
Okay, well, let's talk about that. What are some of the things about the relationship that caused you to start looking into it?
Well, first of all, he had these hidden friends, female friends, who I knew nothing about, who were reaching out to me and saying nasty things to me, and he claimed he didn't know what was going on, and then all of a sudden he filed for a divorce when I began to question what is going on here in these relationships, and a few of them are people from his past, long term. One woman is 15, 20 years his senior, and I found out he's in a business relationship. He had accounts, credit accounts with her where she bought him a bed. It was just horrible. He would start to stay out all night. And
yeah. Well, so here's the thing. Narcissistic abuse isn't limited to just violent, hostile, aggressive type abuse, but ultimately it usually ends up that way the longer you stay in these relationships, right? Because abuse is aggressive. However, things like secretive relationships, that's a red flag, right?
He wouldn't speak to me for a long, he would just
silent
not
treatment.
Talk to.
Right.
Yes.
So double lives is, typically what they call that. Someone living a double life. They're with you, but they also have a secret life that they don't share with you. And then also the silent treatment as a form of punishment. And that keeps you as a form of supply. It keeps you in this place of wanting and in this place of desire. And ultimately he's able to use you for whatever he wants to use you for, because you're constantly needing and wanting him. So it's a technique, it's a tactic to secure their supply without having to give anything really in return. It's kind of a cowardly way of saying, well, I'm going to disappear for a while, and then when I come back, she'll be so excited to see me that she'll just do whatever I want her to do. Right?
Wow.
Yeah,
and he bought me lots of things, mink coats and beautiful purses.
Sure.
And all of that, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and he is a public servant in Detroit. And I believe now that I'm a godly woman, just a very committed Christian, meaning that I was a woman that I had been through a divorce, but I had kept myself. God had kept me. I had not been with anyone in 5 years, and just I'm just a woman of integrity, and I feel like he was using me to make himself look good,
right,
for his career, because in the community I have a good reputation, and to me it just felt like, and physically, and I don't mean this, but I'm attractive physically, and I start to think it just seems like he was using me.
Well, of course he was. So this is to what? Go ahead, I'll let you finish.
So all these things are coming through my mind, like, what is this? But what he did was, I was at a financial situation, even though I have good earning potential. When he met me, I was a full-time student. So financially, he took great care for me while I was in
Well, what do you think
school.
he was using you? What do you think he was using you for?
I think he wanted me to help him to get his degree. Like, I have a PhD. I'm finishing up, and at one time he registered for school, and he wanted me to do all the classes and stuff for him. And I said, no, how would you learn?
Yeah, do his homework. Okay.
Like, he was wanting me to help him to get his degree. And he dropped the classes after I told him I cannot do my PhD, and he is at the same time. So that's what makes me think
that's a new one. I typically hear phone calls where, especially from women who are, the abusive narcissist, being a guy in the situation, use them for sex, for money. That's the first that I heard that he wanted to use you for homework, but I wouldn't put it past it. When we're talking about narcissists, typically they're in the relationship for what they can get out of it. So whether that is sex or money, or in this case, their homework being done, right? And then the moment it becomes...
And I took care of the house and stuff because I was a full-time student. So, I cooked, I cleaned, and then he started to speak, always criticizing things that I did. It was too much salt, not enough salt. It just very critical. And then he would put other people before me. This woman, older woman, he wouldn't stop talking to her. Yeah. Everybody was more important to me than me. It was just a horrible thing to go through, but I didn't go through it alone because of the insight that I have as a mental health professional. I picked up something that's going on with him, but in the public, people love him. He's he is actually appointed by Mayor Duggan in Detroit. They absolutely love him. And so I'm sitting, what made me call you is because I'm sitting in this secret place. I see him all on the news and everywhere, but I know, we love him. He's in the fatherhood programs, but I know.
Yeah, no, it's typical. This is typical. What you're describing is typical. A lot of narcissists come across as these pillars of the community, right?
And I don't say anything, and I'm in the same sector because I know that they wouldn't believe me.
Right, and here's the thing. The relationships that they get along in are very shallow, okay? Narcissists can be very great when they come up for a handshake and a smile or whatever, and that's it, right? It's not until you get to know them in their private lives, like you're experiencing their secret life, their double life.
And I'm his first wife. He's 53 years old, and he's never been married.
Right, and then when you start to pry, and when you start to make things serious, and when you start to want to become committed, as you should in a committed relationship, this is when they break down. They get angry. They get hostile. They give you the silent treatment. They punish you. And the reason they're punishing you is because you're no longer just serving them the way you did in the beginning of the relationship.
But he married me, and this is how he got me to marry. He told me, he used the fact that I'm a Christian woman, and I pray a lot, and he said, God told me to marry you. We had a large wedding. It was beautiful and all of that, and now I'm feeling like I have nobody to go to. I'm ashamed that I'm also a community leader, and the way that he did me, it's like, I don't know how to come out with this. I let him tell people that
you're doing it right now. Yeah, you're doing it right now. Here's the thing. You don't want to go around and engage in this war with narcissists, okay? You don't want to create this back and forth, because that's going to keep you in this game. Right, and I
finally stopped talking to him. I have not called him. He would hang up the phone on me because I didn't know what was...
It's not just talking to him, but it's also talking about him with other people who are connected to him. So in these relationships, it's not enough that you just stop talking to him, but you are going to have to detach from mutual acquaintances, mutual friends. It depends on how badly you want to get out of the relationship and how much you want the whole thing to stop.
I would literally have to fit my career. It's like I'm not really involved. We actually work in the same field. Like he's over the mental health system in Detroit. He's one of the directors of the whole mental health system. And so I work in this system, and I teach it's hard because of the way that our work is. I don't connect with him anymore. I have not called him, but I somehow have to see him from time to time or connect with people that he's connected with because of the nature of what both of us do.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. And so you're just going to
I would have to leave.
You're going to have to navigate that. You're going to have to navigate that in and around seeing him, right? And just because you see him and he sees you doesn't mean that you still cannot practice no contact, right? No contact.
And he tells people they think I'm his wife, and I don't say anything. Like they say, "Hi, Mrs. Glenn." People in the community, if I show up at a conference or something, he'll come. He got scared. I just showed up at a conference because I need to continue to do my work. It's like if I let him intimidate me and not go, I can't even go forth in my career.
Yeah,
because he's there.
Right. No, I'm trying to explain to you. No contact is not about what they do. It's not about where he's at. It's not trying to put rules around him in the situation, saying don't come near me, don't talk. No, it's no contact is about you and your response. You and your response. So just because he's there doesn't mean you have to engage with him. Doesn't mean you even have to look at him. Just because you have people who you know in common who are talking to you about him doesn't mean you have to talk about him back, right? You can just say, listen, we're not in a good situation. I would appreciate it if you don't even talk about it, okay? And the best effort.
So you think I need to tell people we're not married anymore?
You know, I'm not sure. If you're married, I mean, that's a personal decision, okay, that you have to make. I'm just trying to give you some helpful tips on how to deal with not engaging with him and going no contact. All right. And so it's difficult. You work together. There's a lot of stuff, and there's other things.
Well, not really. We work in the same system that requires that some of the same people, and it's in the mental health, the community mental health system.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. I don't I don't need to know all the details. All I know is that you indicated that you're going to come across them there. So either way, whatever it is, you just have to be able to understand that no contact is about you and your response to that. Okay. It's not,
I got you.
That's it. For right now, it sounds like you guys are separated, and separation is okay. One of the things One of the things I can tell you is that when it comes to things like a divorce or things like that, especially if you're dealing with somebody who has a secret life, if you are aware of multiple affairs and this and that, and you want to start leaning in that direction, if you know this is happening, then you have to understand too that typically with these types of individuals, they're not going to be the ones to go through with it. It's going to have to be you to do that research, find out what's really going on, and then you're going to have to be the one to implement that. Otherwise, you will wait your entire life for the other person. I hear that time and time again too. Why doesn't he just divorce? Get it over. Why doesn't he? They're not going to.
He did apply. We got an annulment. He actually filed for a divorce when I began to pry and asked him about this lady that he was connected with.
Okay.
And he filed for a divorce, but I ended up getting an attorney, and the attorney had it turned into an annulment for me.
Gotcha.
So it ended up being an annulment.
So it's an annulment. So he's not your husband anymore.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Then you don't have to. Then this changes everything. No, and people.
But the community thinks that we are, because I don't say anything.
Then you can correct them and say we're not, because that's the truth. Don't be afraid to speak the truth. Right.
Okay.
That's it. All right. Well, listen. I'm
going
to wrap this call up and allow other phone calls. But thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it. And and stay in touch. And thank you for watching the Royal We.
Okay. Should I just stay on and listen, or no?
You're more than welcome to. No, you're more than welcome to. All righty. Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. I accidentally hit the button a little too quick on that one. I apologize for that. But I'm glad that you are watching and on the Royal We. The telephone line is open, guys. The telephone number is scrolling down there at the bottom. And I want to say thank you again for being on the Royal We Live. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you to the moderators. And I also want to give a shout out because we have the Patreon, which is brand new. And I encourage you guys to join the Patreon. It's still in the building process. There's not anything there but one video so far. I have the introduction video coming to it soon. But the Patreon is going to be so important to the Royal We because it's going to be the measure of the movement. I personally would like to get back to the place where I'm going live every single night again and getting that momentum back, right? And I know there's a lot of people who would like that as well, but the means need to be there. And so Patreon's going to allow the Royal We to set goals and maintain those goals and reach for those goals. And so that's what the Patreon account is for. And it's so that you can become a supporter. You could become the measure of how far and how fast and how many goals the Royal We is able to maintain. And I'm going to do the best I can to make sure that the goals are put on the Patreon, exactly what we're aiming for and where we want to go and what we want to do. So thank you. And I want to give a special thanks to the current Patreon members, those who signed up in the very first week and became Patreon supporters of the Royal We. Thank you to Anna. Thank you, Blue, one of the first ones. Dan, thank you so much, Dan. Diane, thank you. Katie, thank you so much. And Linnea, thank you. Mary, thank you. Raina, thank you very much. Russell, thank you. Sherry, thank you. And Tanya, thank you. Thank you all so much for being the very first, the first 12 Patreon members. And I believe, guys, the Patreon membership, I have it set at something like at $20, and which is basically it's less than what you pay a week in coffee, and that's why I chose that. But if those of you who really get something from the Royal We Live and the Royal We in general on a weekly basis, and you really want to see more and you want more help, then I urge you to become a Patreon member to support that taking place, because that is the goal. The goal is to be able to do more. The goal is to have a further reach. The goal is to have more time dedicated to this. So with Patreon being as a crowdsource funding and through your offering through that, it will tie up, it will, I'm sorry, loosen the outside obligations and start to secure more of the Royal We obligations. And that's the purpose of it. So I encourage you to really look into the Patreon and become a Patreon supporter if you haven't already. And with that, guys, the telephone line is open. You're welcome to call. I hope you guys have had a great week so far. I do want to talk to you about the video. And now I have been working this past week on new content for this next week. In addition to that, also learning Patreon and how to use it, how to navigate it, and putting together introduction video for Patreon. Oh, let me go ahead and take this telephone call from Florida. You're live on the Royal We. Thank you for calling.
Hey, buddy. It's Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, I just want to call in really quick. I'm not going to take much of your time. I just want to tell everybody that I'm proud of them for all of the progress they're making, and thank you to everybody, who comes, every Monday now.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wanted to share something that I came across, and it's almost like a statement in a way, and it helped me a lot this last week. I've been going through like a season of depression lately. So it kind of says, you can fool the whole world about who you truly are and wear as many masks as you want, but at the end of the day, you lay in your own head and you can't hide there. So
that's powerful.
Yes, that I read that, and it kind of really hit me in my heart somewhere and in my mind, and I kind of just wanted to share that with everyone here. And yeah, that's kind of just a little thing of, empowerment there.
I like that. I do. A lot of people have this misconception that narcissistic individuals are nonstop happy, right? And because they're out doing their thing and whatever, and they're putting their best face forward. But the reality is what you just said, right? You could show anything you want, but at night, when you're by yourself and when you're asleep, there's no escape. And that's absolutely right. Right. It's true for all of us. But remember, the things that when we're dealing with narcissists, we're trying to get out of the relationship and we think that they're happier than we are. The reality is no, because they're going through relationship. They keep burning through it. Knowing each one compiles on top of the other, knowing that they're not able to sustain a relationship. It's not sustainable. This creates a misery, which creates more fakeness, which creates more, you know what I mean? It's like a cycle that keeps going. But what you said applies to all of us in a lot of ways too. It reminds us of where we are as far as needing to heal, so it's a good thing to be here and to be able to talk and to be able to chat in the community, the Royal We community here with the moderators, with you and others, because I know a lot of people who, unfortunately, they go through narcissistic abuse and then they just pretend like nothing happened. And typically what happens is they just get involved with another potential bad relationship in effort to try to just not think about and not heal from the rejection of the last relationship, and not even take the time to really understand the issue behind why they were in that relationship, right? I mean, we can really just point out narcissists, the horrible things about them all day long, but until we look at what it is inside of us that is letting these people in, right? Then we're going to fall into the same traps over and over and over again, right? And so to those people who are going back and forth thinking, well, I don't need to watch videos on narcissistic abuse, or I don't need to talk to anybody else, I'm just going to forget it and live my life and be happy. Well, that's the mentality that will dance yourself right into another relationship, ultimately, because you are forgetting about it. You are letting your guard down again. You are, you know what I mean? And so it's very important. And I know I just rambled on like I typically do. All that from that little post you shared. Thank you, Taylor.
You are welcome. I just wanted to share that with everybody and say hi to everybody and keep strong, everyone, and I'll be in the chat room.
How's the Facebook group? Are you in part of that?
Yep, I see it on my news line and stuff. And, there's a lot of watch parties that go on, so those are really helpful. And just being able to share, still knowing, I'm 8-9 months into this now, and still knowing that there's people who can still relate on any, page of whatever, stage of recovery they're in is nice. So it's been good.
Right. Well, thank you. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it. We appreciate you very much.
Alrighty. Bye, guys.
Bye. All right. Telephone line is open. Thank you for calling in, Taylor. Thank you so much for everything that you do. We got a telephone call from New York. You're live on the Royal We.
Oh, Kevin. Hi.
Hi.
Oh, my God, Kevin. It's been such a long time. I just can't even believe I'm live again.
Well, I'm glad you called. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm not great because I fell back into the narc's arms.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and, I had a panic attack today because I saw all the signs coming, and I felt it before it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Being an empath, I guess it's something that I don't know. It's just been so horrible that, he's just, now that I'm on to him, he's dumped me. It's just like going back to square one. And I'm like, how did I get here again? And I'm asking God and Jesus to help me because this is horrible. I felt like I was losing my mind. I was insane. I thought I was having a nervous breakdown.
How did you get back involved with him? Let's start there. Let's tie up tie up the loose ends. What took place? What led it back in?
Okay, so it's been 2 years since I've been with him, and we started speaking. He was going to counseling. It started little by slowly. We were just friends, and he wanted to spend more time, and he was, I let him in. I obviously lost myself with that situation, thinking I could handle it yet again, but obviously it didn't happen.
Right. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with these relationships, especially if you have an intimate relationship. Okay, you have to understand. And was this your husband or just or a boyfriend? I can't remember.
A long time boyfriend that I was dating on and off for 10 years.
So here's the deal. You cannot go from long-time boyfriend dating on and off for years, and that's your first indication right there, dating on and off for years. So basically, you're still just living in that pattern. You have not gone full no contact. This is just the cycle coming back in its next loop. Okay.
Right. Well, I went no contact for 2 years.
Well, 2 years is a long time. That's probably the longest time. That's the longest time you've gone no contact. But now it starts. Right. Now it starts over. Right. So here's the thing. Here's the thing, and you have to really understand this. By this point in time, you should know that that this is not the man that you're going to build a life with, build a home with, have a future with, right? And if that's what you're looking for in life, then you're going to have to push him aside, go no contact. There's no reason to give him any of your awards, and by awards and rewards, I mean any of your goods, your time, your love, your intimacy, your sex. You don't owe him any of this stuff. And just because a guy goes to counseling doesn't mean he deserves that from you either, right? That's valuable stuff. That's precious stuff that should be reserved for someone who loves you and cares for you and takes care of you, right? Not some guy who's all over the place, bouncing off the walls, going to counseling and saying and showing up like a puppy saying, "Oh, can I get some now?" Right? So you've got to understand that you've got to be done with this part of your life. All right. Otherwise, you're going to keep going into the same thing. You have to make that decision. And it's going to come down to, once you make that decision, there's not going to be any talking to him anymore, because there's no need to. There's no need to talk to him on any intimate level whatsoever. Right? Doesn't mean you can't, put on a smile if you walk by him or whatever, but no more discussions, no more contacting, because that's the doorway that lets him in, right?
I know, and I thought it was what I wanted to say something that it's just so insidious. It's just this whole. I want to tell the people out there that it's so insidious that you cannot. Even though I lost contact with you guys for a while, I had this. It was like breaking the AA rule. You can't have contact. You can't drink. You can't. I did that. I broke the contact with you guys, and I lost connection with my reality. And I got into a false reality again with him, and it was dire again.
This makes me so. This right here makes it so that I have a full understanding of how important it is to have this community, even on a daily basis.
It is.
You know what I mean? When I hear stories like this, because now I feel responsible as the royal we, and I know that's not what you're saying, but I do, because I've been put in this position to where I've been given this platform, and I'm here able to offer this, and when it shuts down, then it can cause this and this. You know what I mean? It's a chain reaction. And
not your fault.
No, I know that. But at the same time, that's just heartbreaking to me, because that's not at all, what I wanted. And it's I'm going to make sure I assert this in to my prayer life, because it's a big deal. I don't want to be in a position where I got to shut this down, because I don't know what's going on. I don't know how this is going to be funded. I don't know how we're going to continue this. I don't know, I don't know. I don't know what YouTube is doing. So there's so many unanswered questions, and I thank God that I have people like Blue on the moderator, and all the moderators, and Taylor and Tanya, who are continuing to keep the Facebook going, right? Giving the ideas for Patreon, which by the way, I got to shout out to Patreon again, because Patreon, guys, is really going to be, that's going to be the measure. That's going to be what pushes the Royal We to meet the goal of being back here every single night again, so that lives can be saved and stay accountable, because that's really what this is. It's an accountability platform.
It is. Right. And I feel like I've let you guys down, because I did something I shouldn't have done. And I just thought I could handle it. Of course, like we all do. Oh, I can handle it. I'm just going to be friends and this and that. And then when it happens, it's like you feel like a piece of shit all over again. And I'm sick of it. I can't.
Well, you're not.
He had said to me,
you're not.
I want to say something to you, guys. He said to me, I don't want to see you smoking, because I don't want to see you die. But yet I felt like I was dying today. Like the stress is killing me. The stress will kill me before the cigarettes will kill me. I'm telling you.
Right.
I was having a mental breakdown. I thought I was losing it. It was a panic attack. But that'll kill you. I mean,
very
that's
real.
Stress.
Yeah.
At an age that you're not teenagers anymore. We're older adults, and we can't take that stress.
No. Yeah. Anxiety, panic attacks, it's all very real. And this is why it's important. Stay connected. So for right now, I really encourage you to stay connected in the Facebook group. Stay connected on Instagram. Stay connected on the YouTube channel, even if it's just writing a comment. And I still have my phone with me. So this telephone number that you're calling, it's there. And you're welcome to call at any time, okay? And even if I don't answer, and this is true, oftentimes just leaving a message if you're struggling, if you're thinking of contacting that person, or if you're thinking of seeing, just calling and just saying something about it, even on my voicemail or through a text message, is enough to help snap you out of it, right?
Is that really okay to call you? I feel funny about doing that.
Nope, it's there. It's a Google Voice phone number, right? And and listen, my family, my immediate family, they know about this. The Royal We, they know the Royal We. They know the goals, the hopes, and where it's going. And you know what I mean? And so that's what it's for, Right now, it's just the effort to make sure this works out so it can be. One of the goals, speaking of that, being able to call me, is, the first goal through Patreon is to be able to get back to going live every single night. But the way I had it planned out is when we get to close to 1,000 Patreons or something that extent. Ultimately, I want to be able to have a 24-hour service where it's not just leaving messages or text messages, but it's real people on the phone who are emotionally and empathetically and understandably of your situation there to answer the phone and to talk. At that moment, I mean, what a lifesaver that would be to just get off the phone with an ex-narcissist who says they're in counseling, and then to be able to have that person to talk to and say, this is what's going on, and I'm confused. That's a goal, right? And so as the Royal We community, keep that in your prayers, guys, and keep that in mind. These are the goals, and go through, the Patreon membership goals, and these are the things we'd like to reach to. So that's an ultimate goal, is to be able to provide a 24-hour service.
Is there a link on this website? I've been on for a while.
Right. For everybody, the link for the Patreon is the very first link in the description box right down below of this live stream. And I also know that Blue has posted it a couple times as well, and in the chat. So you'll see it.
I haven't been on for a while, and I'm embarrassed to call because I step back. It's like, you took a drink. It's like, oh, my God, you're embarrassed and you're ashamed.
Yeah. No, I understand that. And this is why it's important. And if this is done right, and if we come together as far as the Royal We family, and there becomes a good base, a good measure for this, then there won't be a moment of time for you to fall away, for you to fall off, because that support will be there 24 hours. That is something that's needed, because it's I
need that. Yeah, I need that.
And you're not the only one. You're not the only one. Listen, I need it, right? And I'm hosting it, and so it's real. And I've been a sponsor for Celebrate Recovery in the past, and that as a program. And so I'm a big fan of Celebrate Recovery for people. That's a program that is once every Friday night, and even that, and I learned through being a sponsor in that program that it's not enough. Because what are people doing the rest of the week?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it becomes really easy to go to something that is helpful for you one day a week, and then the rest of the week be left to your own devices, right? And it's the same principle of modern church. People are oftentimes Sunday Christians or whatnot. And what about the other days of the week, right? And so it would be great to be able to offer that, to be able to have the foundation and the support behind offering a real 24-hour service that's dedicated to this one thing, and that is maintaining healthy relationships and staying out of abusive cycles, right?
Yeah, it's life or death, really. It is. It's really not just something to joke about. This is serious stuff. I mean, I know for myself, it's not easy, and it's hard, and it's life and death, really, people. You have to realize that your emotional health, takes over your physical health, and it affects everything.
Right. I'm glad you called.
So what you're doing here, Kevin, I'm glad that you were able to respond, and I'm happy that you're back, and I'm going to follow up with what you said as far as following you on that. We need to be here for each other, always.
That's right. We should. I encourage you to do that. I encourage you also to visit Patreon. I believe that for you in particular, your effort in supporting Patreon, your investment, I believe will help keep that in your mind, because you're investing in something. You're investing in saving other people's lives. You're investing in saving your own, saving yourself. And so having that investment in your mind, I believe, will be a huge help too.
Great. I'm going to look into it. Thank you so much, Kevin. I missed you, but thank you for being here. Okay.
Thank you. Bye. All right. Telephone line is open, guys. And we have time for one more call tonight. I want to thank you. I know I'm on this big push for Patreon. I don't want the whole thing to be about that, but at the same time, it's going to be a huge part of getting back to doing this every single night because that's the goal. I would love to see this Royal We channel. Just you know what, guys, for the Royal We family, Blue, Taylor, Tanya, D. I don't see D in there yet, but all of you, I would love to flood out YouTube with these live shows, hour long, every single night. And it does not bother me that they could do what they want with the ranking. I just want to see every night it just flooded with an hour's worth of content. And so let's make that happen. Let's push for that. So I'm going to, I ask you moderators, make sure that that's something that you're pushing in the Facebook and the forums as well, so we can get back to doing that, because this can just be a home away from home every single night. And when that night comes where there's a struggle and when it's difficult and when you're being contacted by the narcissist or triggered by the friends of the narcissist, or if you're dealing with family who is narcissistic, then this could be that one thing every night that makes that helps you to make that decision to stop. Right? That's what this is all about. And so thank you for that. Right on. Well, how's everybody doing? I wonder if there's any Celebrate Recovery. Yes, Christian-based recovery program. It doesn't deal with just drugs and alcohol. It deals with the relationships, really anything that is keeping you hostage. That's it, Barb. Celebrate Recovery is a good program. It's the only recovery program I recommend somebody go to, and I've recommended that on this channel numerous times. And because of that, it's something that helps people with all issues in life. It's a really good program. And did you like the adrenal drink? Works with water too. Kim, you tried it. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that you liked that. I have another one, guys. Kim and others who are Patreon members. I'm not going to give away too much information, but I just donated blood. All right. And it has to do with the video I'm putting out this next week on the regular Royal We channel, which is going to be about breaking generational curses. So I'm pretty excited about this one. And it's actually more about going no contact with toxic parents. But I'm calling it breaking generational curses. But as a bonus in the video, I donated blood. And a lot of people think that donating blood is something that's a good thing to do. It's good for the community. It's good for the people. But not a whole lot of people talk about the health benefits that donating blood has for you as a donor. There are major health benefits that I've discovered, and I'm excited about it. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's the main reason I want to donate blood is for the health benefits behind it. So I'm making that video exclusive for the Patreon members. So for those of you who are Patreon, you'll be able to see the health benefits through research behind donating blood and what it does for your body, how it cleans you out. And this is important in healing from narcissistic abuse, guys. Listen, it's not enough that we just get out of toxic, bad relationships. It's going to take a complete overhaul, right? A change of lifestyle. Maybe you watched the video of time, how to use time, where I talked about changing your whole daily routine. Maybe waking up at 4:30 in the morning for you youngsters, going for a jog, hitting the gym, going to work, doing whatever, but pushing out any of that free excess time where you would usually sit and think about the narcissist. But in addition to that, it's dietary changes, eating organic. Stop filling yourself with the toxins of the fortified foods and things like that we eat, because this stuff does take a toll on you mentally and emotionally, on top of the trauma that you've experienced from narcissistic abuse. And so through Patreon, one of the things I want to do is offer these little healthy tidbits of information that can help you to build a healthier lifestyle, right? And so things like donating blood on a regular basis is something that can really benefit you. Adrenal cocktails can really benefit you. And there's going to be so much more coming up, guys. I guarantee you that. And like I said, it's just starting. We're just now building it. But I'm going to keep in touch with Blue and with Taylor and with Tanya. And we're going to put something together that's really going to be, the goal is to put something together with Patreon that's really going to be worth it for you to be there, right? And also going to be the support behind what the Royal We does here live and on the regular channel. If you have medical issues that prevent you from donating blood, that's okay too. Yes. And that's that's a difficult. I know there are medical issues such as things like having POTS syndrome, things like that, where it keeps you from being able to donate blood, right? And I get that too, and that's very unfortunate. It's not unfortunate, but I mean there's other things that can be done, but in particular, if you can donate blood, then that's also a good thing, just because of the purging that it allows. But you're absolutely right, Tanya. I know a lot of people who are not able to donate blood for one reason or another, blood sugar levels, different reasons. And so that's not the only thing. That's not the end all. It's just one thing out of a lot of stuff I'd like to share that I learned that is something that you can get excited about. And so just putting that out there. But there's going to be a lot of other stuff, adrenal cocktails, just different dietary things and of that nature. I heard you can't donate within 6 months of getting a tattoo. Yeah, Barb, you know what? They do have you fill out this paperwork. There was a lot of weird stuff on the paperwork. I had to, I don't have tattoos, but you can't have tattoos in the past 6 months. You can't have traveled to England. It's really weird. And hi, we got a caller from Utah. I'll save the weirdness for after this telephone call. Thank you for calling. You're live.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much for all you do.
Oh, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I'm just getting over my 15-year marriage from my narcissistic husband, and we're going through a divorce right now, and I have a 13-year-old son that I'm trying to stay healthy for. I really appreciate your videos and how much it's helping me through my journey.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
One of the things that I kind of am struggling with is, like I said, we still live together at this point and going through the divorce process, and we don't talk to each other, but I guess maybe some advice on how I can kind of hold my space for myself while we're still living together.
That's really hard, right? Obviously, when you're still living together, you're going to cross paths, okay? But I always, use I imagine if you guys are going through the process of a divorce, is that correct?
Yeah, well, papers are getting ready to be served, yeah.
So the marriage is pretty much over anyway. So I take it there's no, what are some of the issues you're running into that might help? I mean, are you coming across situations where you're fighting? What's going on? Are you being triggered? Help us understand the situation and what's really difficult about it right now.
So, yeah, I mean, just to see him, even though we don't talk, we don't look at each other, to see him is a trigger for me. His main focus right now, he's put me on a pedestal for so many years, however, still being, silent treatments and the whole thing. But my daughter is my adult daughter is his, the one he attacks. He's been, going after my daughter a lot lately, and of course, that's a huge trigger for me.
Right. And so if it's just seeing him, right, that's triggering you, and in addition to that, how he's treating your daughter, how old's your daughter again?
She's 21. She lives with us.
So she's old enough to be able to understand what's going on, and I want you to be mindful that it's probably very difficult for her at 21, right? She's old enough to understand, but still young enough to be observant and learning and confused and not sure what all of this means. And it's going to shape the way that she looks at relationships in the future. So what I would say is that your trigger is basically because you're still there, because it's still hurtful, because things are falling apart, because the marriage didn't end up the way you wanted it to. It's very triggering because you see it there. It's still there. It's within. You're in this really weird kind of a dream when you're almost awake phase. It's there, but it's not. It's there, but it's not. Yeah. It's real, but it's not. You're living like you married, but it's not a marriage. You're almost able to touch it, but it's not there. It's a constant reminder of the of the failure, right?
Yeah.
And that's the difficult part, right? And so there's not a whole lot that you can do about that. Okay. You're just going to have to pray for peace. I would reach out, make phone calls. If you're really struggling, if you have a moment where it gets too difficult, you can contact, my Google Voice phone number. I encourage you to get, connected with the Facebook group, Tanya, Taylor, Blue, you know what I mean? Just to have that support, because you're going to have those moments of being up and down until this whole thing moves on.
I appreciate it so much. Yeah, I've actually cut all social media because that was a really big trigger for me after I found out all about his secret lives with all the social medias, and it just got to be too much. So the only thing I do now is YouTube, and I watch you a lot. So thank you so much for everything that you put out there. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
All right, we're going to wrap up tonight's live stream of the Royal We. Thank you so much for everybody participating in this, and thank you for the callers. And again, guys, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel if you're not yet a subscriber. Every Monday night, we go live. Also, visit the Patreon page and consider supporting the Royal We. The quicker we get to 300 Patreons, the quicker I will be here every single night doing this, because once we get to that point of 300 patrons, I can start to step away from the obligations that keep me away from this, because it's my heart to make this the obligation, you know what I mean? The priority, but it's steps to get there. So would you do that? Consider being the ground floor of that, the push for that, because you are the measure. I met with I've told the story before, but I met with a pastor, and I was basically in my own counseling session, shared with him where this is at, what's going on. And this is at the time where things were falling apart, which I made a video about, and you can find that on the other Royal We channel of why I stopped live streaming. But I made a video basically showing how everything was falling apart. I was exhausted going into work every day, not spending time with, family, and doing this. And at the same time, YouTube was crashing my channel because they do not like monetizing live streams. And the monetization was a form of measurement as to how far I could go with this, because it provides, right? It makes a means, okay? And so what happened is I created this second channel where I don't create about the means. However, initially I'm like, well, I could do it once a week and that's fine. But I sensed the need for it, and I want to make this something that is dedicated every single night. I want to go every single night again. But this type of channel will not be monetized. It's just not going to get there. YouTube doesn't. The algorithms don't like this. They don't like an hour of phone conversations. So this is for you. This is for the community. This is for people who need healing, okay? And so it needs to be supported. It needs a foundation in order to grow. And when I was meeting with counselors on my own, and my biggest question was, how do I grow? How do I make this bigger? And the counselor told me, he said, well, what's your measure? He says, you need to have a calling, a gift, and a measure. And I understand the calling. Okay, the calling, saving lives. That's what we do in the Royal We. We want to save lives. We want to help people on a daily basis to make the right decisions with their relationships and what they're doing. That's the calling. That's the easy. The gifting, what's the gifting? Well, we have people, we have moderators and people who can talk, and we can make videos, all kinds of stuff. The gifting is there. That's not that bad either. We got that decently to figure out. But the measure, what does the measure mean? I don't know. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. What does the measure mean? And I figured it out. The measure is the foundation under all of that. How big the measure is, like a measuring stick. How much can you put on a measuring stick? We can stack up our gifts and everything else on top of the measuring stick, but the measuring stick has to be there. So what is the measuring stick? It's you. You're the measuring stick. The supporters, the watchers, you're the foundation. You are the ones that are going to hold the Royal We going live every night. You're the ones that are going to hold eventually seminars, traveling, whatever's in the future for the Royal We is going to be, it's measured. You're the measure of that. And so that's what Patreon does, it fills the gap. It fills the gap, and it opens that door. And so, again, consider becoming a Patreon supporter for less than how much you buy coffee for every week. You can see to it that the Royal We meets the goals of the future. All right. So thank you guys so much. And let's see. Hopefully we will get to 300. Yes. Anita, let's get to 300. Time for peace. Time for peace. All right. All right, guys. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much for being here. And be sure to watch out for the upload this week on generational curses, how to detach from generational curses of the narcissistic, toxic parents. Okay. And also for you Patreon members, I will be including the video of donating blood and the benefits, the health benefits that come with being able to donate blood as a donor. All right. Thank you so. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Blue. You want music? This is for Blue. If I can get it on. Well, never mind, Blue. I'm sorry. I won't stop. There you go. Tanya's going to sing it. Tanya's going to sing the song in all words that she's going to type out. Go for it, Tanya. I won't stop now. I won't quit. I'm just getting warmed up. All right. So we will have the music on in the beginning. I had it on the beginning today, Blue, and we'll be back. All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night and a great rest of the week. We'll talk to you later. Bye.